Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're in the swamps outside of Orlando, Florida for the don'ts of visiting Orlando. And I'm going to start off with the first don't. Is one thing that international travelers really bring up to me quite a bit, and that is don't expect to find a beach in Orlando. This is your water in Orlando, swampy lands. Yes, not the beach. Look, I know for a lot of us, we think Florida and a Florida vacation, it means Orlando and it means Disney, it means the beach, right? Well, Orlando doesn't have beaches. Okay, if you want to go to the beach, you got an hour or two drive to get to one. I would say come to Tampa, go to Clearwater Beach. That's the best beach in the US. Actually got voted the best beach in America. That's where we want to go. Because Orlando, no beaches, okay? I want to get that out of the way. My second don't for you has to deal with this water you see behind us. You will see a lot of swampy land when you're here, and I'm going to tell you, don't mess around by the water when you're in Orlando, because there are alligators here. Lots of alligators here, and they're not domesticated. They're not for tourists. They are wild animals. I mean, there's a couple that live here. One just jumped off the side over there. So I'm kind of, if I look back, it's because I'm making sure there's no alligator coming, because you don't want to mess around with the gators. And that means don't feed the gators. A lot of tourists come and think, oh, I'll give them marshmallows. They like that, or I'll get them to play with me. No. Do not mess with the alligators. Do not mess around on the water side and stuff like that, especially you got little kids, okay? So those are really important don'ts I want to get out of the way to start off with, okay? The thing is, if you want to enjoy those gators, you want to see those things, go to a place like Gatorland where it's kind of a controlled setting. So there you can see the gators and you can get your pictures with gators and give them a little smoochie maybe and hold them and stuff like that. The small ones, they have things for you for that. But in the wild, you don't mess around with the gators, okay? And Gatorland gets me kind of thinking about another don't I have for you, and that is, don't think it's just Disney in Orlando. I know Orlando is famous because of Disney. Disney World, Epcot, all the other parks around there, the fantastic resorts they have, the customer service, all those wonderful things. Disney, there is that. But that's not all that's here. There's so much more in Orlando than just doing Disney. Yes, Universal is awesome to go check that out. And the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, that was my kid's favorite thing when we were here. Going to, yes, you can do the Gatorlands. You can go to SeaWorld and see that. You can go to there's escape rooms. There's all kinds of great tour stuff for people to do here. Because, Orlando is a tourist mecca in the US. So there's tons of stuff for everybody when you are here. So don't think it's just Disney. Now, I'm also going to say is don't skip Disney when you come here. And we actually have a whole video on the don'ts of visiting Disney, because there's so many of those. That's a separate video. Do click the button over there or the information below to go to that video. But just a few don'ts I want to make sure I give you about Disney if you don't check out that video. One, don't forget to make reservations when you do go to Disney. That means reservations for restaurants if you want to sit down, but especially if you want to see a certain character, especially the princesses, you might want to book 6 months in advance to get your favorite princess. Otherwise, your princess or prince won't get to see their favorite princess, okay? So make sure you're booking early. So if you do get to Disney, you will notice there's some really amazing customer service at Disney. And there's an Orlando don't that's going to follow from that, and that is don't expect that great Disney service all over Orlando. It's kind of like Disney and Universal kind of stole all the really friendly, happy, want to help you people, and they're there and they will super help you. But when you get out into Orlando in general, you got tons of tourists. The tourist hordes are everywhere. People know that no matter how bad I treat you, there's going to be another tourist coming in here tomorrow, so who cares? So you do have kind of not the best service when you are in Orlando. So just know, if you want the happy, good service, Disney, Universal, that's your better bets, okay? Just an FYI for that one. Now, my next don't for you has to deal with getting around Orlando. You will be driving a lot when you are here, and my don't for that is don't rip out your hair when you're driving in Orlando, because it's kind of like two ways. It's either a racetrack or it's a parking lot, and both of them can really drive you a little crazy when you are here. So make sure you give yourself a lot of extra time when you've got to go place in Orlando, because Google or Waze may say one time frame, but just know you never know when the traffic's going to pop up like that, so it can be quite frustrating. So do have a heads up. Another don't I have for you with transportation is don't forget there's a lot of free shuttles that can take you to different destinations. Whether you're going to a Disney or a Universal or wherever, there's all kinds of really cool free shuttles that will take you places. But I'll tell you, don't expect them to be fast, but do expect them to be efficient. They'll pick you up and drop you off, and they follow their schedules, okay? Now back into your car, I do have two more don'ts for that. One, don't text, read, Angry Bird, or whatever while you're driving. That's not allowed here in Florida, and the coppers will be glad to pull you over to remind you of that with a nice little ticket. So have a heads up for that one. Also, don't forget the toll roads. You may think, oh, I'm from Illinois, they'll never find me. Or I'm from Germany, they'll never find me. Look, the toll road people here in Florida will find you, and with that fee, and they'll link it up to your rental car and stuff like that. So make sure you're paying your tolls. If you're renting a car, get the Sun Pass that goes with it, so you don't have to worry about any of those things, because that's one of those hidden surprises that might pop up 6 months later saying, hey, you didn't pay your toll, and now you've got the extra fine for it as well. Yay. Our next note for you is don't forget to remember your airport code when you're flying to Orlando, because there's a lot of airports around here. Maybe you're going to MCO, or Orlando International Airport, or maybe you're going to SFB, which is Sanford Airport, or maybe you're going to MLB, the Orlando Melbourne Airport, or maybe you're going to DAB, Daytona Beach Airport, or maybe you're going to be flying into Tampa, TPA, or you maybe going to fly into Clearwater, and that's PIE. Look, there's a lot of different airports that come near Orlando and by Orlando, so you do have a lot of options flying here. So maybe don't just check Orlando MCO, check some of the other airports. You might get a better deal for a flight, and that can help you out, okay? So do have a heads up for that. And that kind of gets me into thinking about ways you can save money when you're gonna come here, because, you know, searching different airports helps out. I will say is don't forget to search for deals when you're coming to Orlando. Now, Disney, there's not usually a lot of deals, but other places, you can find some good deals online or booking early for certain places. Also, if you're at your hotel, you know that big thing of all those pamphlets, all those flyers of all those places to go visit in that area? Go grab some of those there, and you can save yourself some money. Because think about it, if you buy a flyer, oh, $5 off each ticket, we got a family of 5, well, there's $25 for you right there. That's not chump change, okay? So use those things out there and search for those deals. Also, ask at your hotel. Sometimes hotels will have, like, they've pre-purchased tickets, or they have some discount deals out there. Definitely ask those things, and so maybe they'll have some for you, because it's always good to ask about discounts and to search for them, of course. Now, this next stone isn't really necessarily a way to save money, but it might be something that can save time and save some stress. And I'm going to say this: don't be afraid to stay on property, i.e. stay at one of the hotels or resorts that are linked up to one of the parks you want to go to, because there can be some really good benefits with it. I know when we went to Disney, we stayed 2 nights in one of their resorts, and therefore we got to go to the park earlier. We got to book our fast passes a lot earlier, because that's one thing. If you're going to Disney, you get like 30 days. Once you get your fast pass, 30 days before you get there, you can book your fast pass. If you're staying at a property, you get 60 days beforehand to book your spots. So that can be really nice. So there is some of those little benefits like that, like getting in early and these kind of things, that can make it worthwhile. And also with those, it makes it easier sometimes to get back for a break during your visit. Because my next one for you is don't try to do everything when you come to Orlando. There are tons of parks. There's all those Disney parks. There's all the Universal stuff that's here. There's all the other things that goes on. And then trying to get maybe to the beaches in Tampa or near Tampa as well. There's so much to do that you will get burned out, or you can get burned out when you're here, especially if you have little kids. So you do need to take care, and don't try to do everything. Make sure you're picking the things you really want to see and focus on those, and save the other ones for your next visit to Orlando, okay? Also, kind of with that, don't try to do everything, is also don't forget to plan some downtime, okay? If you're gonna be here for a week and you're gonna go park. Nah, take one day, just chill out at your resort, maybe drive the 1.5 hours, 2 hours to get to a beach, something like that, and just have a beach day, but just have kind of a do nothing day, because otherwise you really do get burned out with all the stuff going on, and especially if you got little kids, they need that downtime. And sometimes that downtime is just going from the park back to the hotel or back to the resort for a couple hours in the middle of the day to have lunch, and then heading back to the park for the evening and late afternoon. Those things can make a really big difference. Now, I do have some more don'ts in terms of some basic kind of things you need to know when you are in Orlando. 1, don't forget to bring a good pair of walking shoes for everybody when you come here, because you will do a lot of walking, whether it is going to Universal or Disney or just going around Orlando. You're doing a lot of walking. And you know what? Flip-flops, though they do work wonderfully in this beautiful weather, don't always work for when you're walking for 20 miles inside of a park and standing in line for hours. So make sure everybody has good walking shoes. It's not just mom and dad, it's also the little kids as well, okay? So do think of that. Also, don't forget that sun is very intense, and even though there's no beaches in Orlando, the sun doesn't care. It will still burn you. So make sure you're bringing sunblock, you're reapplying it. Even in the wintertime, yes, even in the wintertime, the sun will still burn you. Make sure you have some sunblock on when you do go, so you have that. Another don't is don't forget to have one of those little ponchos. You know, go to Walmart, they're like $5. Buy some for the whole family, because here in Orlando, rain just pops up out of nowhere. And so it might only rain for 10 or 15 minutes, but it will rain for that 10 or 15 minutes. And having that poncho, just throw it on. You can keep walking around and enjoy your day, as opposed to hiding in the corner trying not to get wet. So those are some basic ones I want to give to you right there. And another more serious one, I know I talked about the sun a little bit, but you really need to make sure is you don't forget to hydrate when you're going around, because the heat, the humidity, all this kind of stuff here, and doing all these adventure stuff and parks and stuff like that, a lot of people get very dehydrated. So make sure you stay hydrated. Drink a lot of water when you are here. The parks will give you free ice water. Now, not bottled water, but you'll see water fountains and other places ask for ice water. They will help you out, because you do need to stay hydrated when you're here, because that can be one of the dangerous things for tourists when they come, is that dehydration, okay? Another don't I have for you is don't forget to pick the right season to come to Orlando. Look, Orlando's busiest season is Disney's busiest season. This will actually overlap into our Disney video. Look, the week between Christmas and New Year's is the busiest time of the year for Orlando, okay? Also busy times, spring break and summer, like July, August, those are also really packed times. So you can come in October, or you can come in March, or wherever, whenever it's lower season, man, you can get to the parks, you can get in the lines really quickly, you can get the hotels easier. It's so much easier coming at those times. I know when we brought our kids, we brought them in March and October, and so it's a lot easier to do those things. We're here in the winter now at the worst time of the year, but it was worth it to come because we got to see family, we got to do some fun stuff. But I do want you to know is those are the really busy times when you're here. And my last don't for you is don't fret about the price. Look, it's going to be expensive when you come to Orlando, because all those parks, it costs a lot of money to run those parks. So those tickets, the food, the accommodation, all these things, it will really add up. And everybody knows that, because everybody's come here and everybody knows how expensive it is. So what I tell you is don't let the prices really bother you, because I've seen a lot of people just let the expensiveness of coming to Orlando and experiencing Orlando really kind of weigh on their trip. So not enjoying their time here. They're like, oh my God, I spent so much money. Not like, hey, let's just enjoy it. We'll worry about the price later. Okay. So do have that in your mind. Yes, it's going to be expensive, but don't let that ruin your experience when you're here in Orlando, because it is a really cool place to visit. There's a lot of stuff to do here for all ages, young and old. So I hope that helps you know a little bit more about the don'ts of visiting Orlando. If you want to know more, those don'ts of going to Disney, we've got that. We also have 511 hates of Orlando, the don'ts of Florida, the 511 hates of Disney, all on our website at woltersworld.com. We're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and we really appreciate your likes, subscriptions, and we want to give a special shout out to all our patrons on Patreon who help make videos like this possible. If you want to help support us, check us out at patreon.com/woltersworld to learn more. Anyway, we'll say bye from here in the swampy lands of Florida. Bye, and have a great time in Orlando.